God, gotta be.
That seemed as though you said it and you meant it.
Did you see a correspondence between my thoughts and my emotions?
And that
Well, look at you. Look at you developing your sixth sense. You can feel that. Hi, this is Dr. Dan Langley, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Eye-Opening Discussions. If you're ready to question everything that you think that you know to unlock your true purpose and unleash your full potential, then you've come to the right place as we dive deep into Eye-Opening Discussions. Today we have another very special guest, and I really like this segment. It's called I'm Not a Guru.
But.
Ooh, I'm not a guru, but. And this is where we kind of give kind of 2 points of topics that we then kind of debate back and forth or discuss, because we like to discuss, we don't like to debate, discuss back and forth, to really provide nuanced contrast between ideas and hopefully find a reconciliation of those polarities in the process.
Well, you say dive in deep, and I'm more of like the superficial skimming of a rock across the top of the pond kind of girl.
You are. You definitely. I think that is a great analogy. Yes. I sometimes dive deep and can't hold my breath that long, so I wind up drowning sometimes in my own depth.
I come for you.
I get you fish me out of there.
I mean, sometimes you might feel like those puppies are sick.
Ooh, check this out, man. I like it. You know, but I love that analogy of the rock skipping against the water. You are so bright. The reason why I wore my He-Man t-shirt, because this was the very first action figure that I was able to toy that I purchased for myself when I was younger. When I was 7 years old, I'd go to the neighbor's house and he'd have me do little odds and ends for maybe be a quarter an hour or 50 cents an hour. I can't remember what it was, but this was back in the 70s. That's how old I am. And so I was so proud that I earned enough money so I could buy my first little toy. And it was the He-Man action figure, because He-Man was a badass.
That's awesome.
So I wore this specifically for him because I would like to be the master of my universe.
I like She-Ra.
She-Ra was awesome.
Yeah. I think she'd beat up He-Man.
I think He-Man would let her, because in Adam's mortal form, he was probably more related to She-Ra than his masculine form. Adam, Prince of Eternia, was definitely in touch with his divine feminine.
You've always leaned into every character that you're investigating.
I do, yes.
Yeah,
so
I
just gotta pump these. Let's see what it says. So call the vet. These puppies are sick.
Well, the fact that you were getting paid a quarter an hour, I'm surprised you couldn't buy a car back in those days.
Yeah, and so that was so He-Man has a very touched my heart.
He's inspirational.
Thank you, He-Man.
He's inspirational.
Yes.
Let's see here. Today what are we going to discuss? I think we decided.
Well, I think you kind of hit it off right at the beginning, so we could probably go into that. Yeah. Deep versus superficial.
Yeah.
Right? And so what's your take on that?
Some people lean into something wholeheartedly without using their own depth and education and experimentation of seeing if it aligns with them, maybe. And I just dabble, and then I'm like, ooh, that seems good.
And when we've had many conversations before where we talk about kind of what this experience is about, what kind of guardrails do we have, and what type of attributes, maybe even some liabilities that we may have on there. And so it just so happens that I think by energetic resonance, some people are just a little bit more deep and exploratory, and others are a little bit more kind of superficial. And I don't use these words as good or bad. I just simply describe them as, or I simply use them as descriptive.
Let's just pause right there. Anything with the word super in it isn't a bad thing.
So superficial. So it's above fishiality. I love it. So I like the way you put that spin on there. So superficial isn't a bad thing.
No.
In fact, superficial can be a great thing.
Well, I think that there's a balance.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you're in this world right now, right here, living. And so if you just talked about your shirt.
Yes.
About something you wear that you purchased.
Yeah. This is very super. Don't I make it look good?
You do.
That's my point. That's my point. Is that when I say superficial, I just use it as a word to describe something. I don't use it to belittle or to demean or anything like that. And so it's simply if you took a rough cut gemstone and present it as like, oh wow, that's superficially unattractive. But if you polish it superficially and cut it, then it all of a sudden looks magical. Or the stuff that we put on our skin, we do our hair, we trim our homeless man beard. All these different things may seem superficial, but it's also something to say, can this be a form of just beauty expression or external expression? And external isn't worse than internal. They are kind of two sides of the same.
Some of the prettiest people are not so pretty on the inside, and vice versa.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I like
just
that.
Just by people
like yeah.
judging from afar on what they believe that person's about.
Yeah. And so from that context, I think we all have our own biases and proclivities to say some people that I know really like the outside package and are really ambivalent or really don't care much about what's on the inside. So again, if they go to a Barnes & Noble, if they still have Barnes & Noble these days,
I think they do.
And you go peruse the books, and you say, look at the book cover. And unless you're really informed, you just go by the cover. Oh, this is a great cover. This is a great cover. So you get the book. It's a great cover. You start reading. It's like, that book was terrible. And so, but some people love the covers of the books. And that's not a bad thing, because the thrill of like, oh, I'm picking this gorgeous book. And you get in like, oh, man.
Marketing's only superficial. The cover is, people are slapping lipstick on the pig all the time.
I need some lipstick right now. It's like, so that's what I try to do. That's why I have to use props and gimmicks. Because I recognize that my superficial appearance needs a little buffing, polishing, dent repair.
All of our
I'm after like a hailstorm.
Sure.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're not, and you know it. I mean, as you sit there with your arms all flexed and you're
flexing now.
Yeah. Well, I think superficially or deep, whether it's skimming the rock or deep dive, it's just kind of resonating what feels good and understands and makes sense and allows for the path for where you want to lead.
Have you ever skipped a rock deep in the water?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how in that case would superficiality not be an awesome thing? I mean, when you see that rock skip across the water multiple times, so that's just pure enjoyment from that. I don't think anybody skipped a rock. I mean, but it takes some practice to do that. And if you do, it's like you get a sense of elation. That seems so trivial and so superficial, but at the same time, it provides such a meaningful experience in the life. And so again, when we use these words, I think the intent behind the words is important. So deep to some people will be terrible. It's like, oh, I don't want to go into a deep conversation because I might drown, right? Literally comparing it to the depth of water.
There's sandbags conversations that will drown you.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But in and of itself, deep isn't good or bad. It's just a quality of the description. Superficial. What's that?
This girl needs oxygen.
You do sometimes.
Get some air. Yeah.
We'll get you a big scuba set. But my point of saying that is that sometimes the depth of an experience is, I guess, contingent upon the people willing to dive deep to explore areas that they may feel a little trepidatious about or a little unwary. And sometimes going to those depths provides a new experience that you wouldn't have unless you were brave enough to kind of go to those depths. And so, and this is not a good or bad thing. It just is a thing.
But when you talk about being superficial, the first instinct is that it's not a very good situation.
And I can use superficial like that.
But I had a conversation this past weekend with a gentleman. I'm not calling out anyone. But in the conversation with my husband, he's in the kitchen. I'm sitting at the couch and I was working away and I'm just testing theories, trying to figure out what works, where it's going. And he's like, you are working so much. What are you trying to achieve? And I said, oh, well, success. And I had watched some segment on, some YouTube, and he's like, what's your success? Are you going to be happy if you're a billionaire? I go, ooh, I want to be a billionaire. Yeah. And I said, and then everyone can eat at the table.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and he's washing dishes, and he's like, I don't need everyone to eat at the table.
Okay.
And I said, what do you think I meant by that?
Yeah.
And he's like you're going to be able to afford to buy the dinner at the table. And I said, that is not what I meant.
Yeah.
What I meant that I want to make enough money that every single person, no matter what their role is, can come and eat at the table. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they, I just met them, or if they've been a part of my life, they can come and sit at the table with me, and I can feed them. That's how I judge the success, that no one has a want or need because their basic needs are taken care of.
Well, and I think success is different to each person. And just using mouth words to describe kind of states of existence or expression is that if you don't have food, then, or safety, for example, then that may be what you determine success is. Am I safe and do I have a full belly? That in itself is just successful. So I think sometimes we forget that everybody, all 8 billion people are at different levels of functioning or experience. And sometimes the smallest thing that we take for granted, like clean air, clean water, available food, to 60% of the world's population, they don't have that. So a daily struggle to be successful is simply just surviving. And we in our, first world lives can sometimes then say, well, our success is whether I become a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
And so one isn't good or bad, but it's just kind of meeting people where they are in their experience. And then at times we can then appreciate where people are. It's like, I just want to have a few friends, as opposed to I want to be friends with everybody. Well, that having a couple of friends is a huge win. And that is a successful experience to someone who may not have friends.
Well, the fact that he knows me so well, and immediately he kind of thought the superficial side where I was just wanting to buy dinner for everyone. Yes. And then he quickly understood that he's like, I had no idea that was your meaning behind it. And I go into the skipping the rocks or the deep rock. Like, it is amazing how many people judge and they think they know who's the deepest ones and who is the superficial ones. Sure. When really we don't know anything.
No, I would agree with that. And I think, to your point, I think that most of us have asked certain topics that we would like to be superficial on because it's either too traumatic or too painful, or we just don't know. And so we've been taught by other gurus or whatnot that, hey, sometimes it's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open our mouths and remove all doubt. So we say, I'm just going to keep it on the surface. Like I was talking to, Neil deGrasse Tyson, so like I may pipe down a little bit because I may not feel like I can compete in the academic ring and make myself seem like deep in an area that I clearly have not had the training for. Whereas in other places you say, oh, I have vast experience, and so I can swim in the deep water. So let's go into the deep waters. And so I like that, where I have all sorts of things that I'm superficial on, because there's all sorts of things that I'm very ignorant about. And I think with awareness, if I feel like I'm ignorant about something, then I may say, oh, I better just absorb information.
Right.
Like John Dee said, it's like, if you do not know, then learn or be quiet. Right. And I think there's some power in that. And so I need to learn to zip these meat flaps and maybe absorb some things to help defer my ignorance a little bit.
Can you imagine a world where you have the confidence that you just don't even care? That you just, like, if you truly have something worth wisdom or a point, that you can say it and not care if it's to the level of who you're speaking to or the environment you're in front of. Like, the competition is, when people are like, oh, I love competition. As a Leo, I love to dominate. Yeah. But a part of that is I don't care if I actually win. I want to get out there and do the best that I can against myself and let people judge. Like, that's what I feel is the environment that is a win-win for everybody. Is like, okay, you can't do this, but together we're going to figure this out and you're going to succeed. And whether it's deep or superficial, like, if you want to know more about it, you have every right to do the due diligence to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. And at the same time, there's some aspects that if you were trying to have a conversation with, say, a neurosurgeon, and you didn't know much about that, and the neurosurgeon is trying to explain the complicated aspects of repairing a trigeminal, AV malformation or whatnot, then sometimes
so you need to do surgery.
Sometimes expressing your opinion on that may say, maybe I should just listen in this, because in certain situations, not everybody's opinion is as equally informed or experiential, and that doesn't mean that it's bad. However, in some situations, like if I was going to try to tell someone how to repair an automobile, I'm not very good at that. So if I insist that, I don't know anything about how this car runs, but I'm going to tell you what I think about how this car runs when I have no experience and no knowledge or anything like that. So I think there's kind of a balancing act.
There's an interjectory of a conversation, and this is the made-up words of my own about esoteric or egoteric.
Oh, egoteric, yeah.
Yeah, and I've used this quite often when I talk to a lot of people, and no, it's not a word. We're just making this word up. But are you doing it because it's an esoteric practice? Or are you trying to interject yourself because it's egoteric?
Sure.
Or you're practicing this to make bigger muscles so you superficially look better, to be able to, control the conversation and have all eyes on me. And like, there's a lot of that out there. I mean,
definitely.
You're gonna eat all liver and talk about it, and everybody's liver man, and like, I'm so much better. Like, go for it. If it works for you, great.
Well,
great.
to that end, then what can we do about that? How can we make that seeming contrast or strain better for people when we're interacting?
Superficial or deep? Before you judge, maybe ask what you meant by that. Try to understand and listen, respond to know and understand instead of just assume.
Sure.
And I would say it would be helpful, and I can work on this every single day of my life. Like, am I interjecting because I want to help the situation, or am I doing this just to belong? A lot of people try to do it to belong, and your heart.
Do you blame them?
No,
I want to belong.
My heart feels for it. Yeah. My heart wants to make everyone included. So if someone's excluded, let's talk about something that can include everyone.
I like that. That's a great way to recognize where you may have some mastery and where other people may not, and then maybe find a bridge between those things.
I think it was brilliant.
So we can go superficially deep or deep superficially. Either way, it's like just spectrums of potentiality. Well, again, I'd like to thank you for joining us on our special edition of I'm Not a Guru, but yes, and where again we try to discuss topics that are relevant and can allow you to look at things in a unique way, so that you can decide, I never really thought about that before, and to have different contrasting beliefs or ideas, and to then try to somehow reconcile those just through healthy conversation and hopefully comprehension. So I hope you join us next time for Eye-Opening Discussions, and I'm Not a Guru, but thank you.